Rachel had been dreaming of becoming a famous actress. Finally, her dream was about to come true. A famed talent agency had invited Rachel for an interview. She arrived at the office to meet her new agent early in the morning. There were 4 people in the conference room. Can you tell which one is Rachel's agent? This guy is the only person who doesn't have an employee badge, so he's probably a guest. This man is wearing a classy, expensive suit, but he brought coffee for everyone, so he's an assistant. This lady's mug says, "World's Best Lawyer," so she's probably responsible for legal issues. And this relaxed lady over there is Rachel's agent, Zoe. Zoe offered Rachel to take a seat. Which place should Rachel choose? This chair is missing one leg. Someone has spilled coffee on this chair. The barista has written "The Boss" on the drink in this cup and left it on the table next to this chair. And someone has left a sweater on this chair. So, Rachel has only one option, and here it is. First of all, Zoe decided to check how smart Rachel was and offered her this puzzle. She used 3 pencils to make this triangle. Rachel's task was to create a perfect square by moving just 1 pencil. Can you help her? Here's the answer. After the meeting, Zoe unboxed a delivery from a popular writer. He sent Zoe his new masterpiece in secret. Zoe didn't say anything about this to her colleagues, but one of them was actually trying to steal the script. Can you guess who this person is? It's the assistant. He's using his front camera to take pictures of the mirrored ceiling while Zoe is looking through the script. Zoe brought Rachel to her first audition. Rachel joined other actresses in a line. They were all competing for the lead role in a new series. The main character had poor eyesight, so all actresses put on fake glasses to get into character. Rachel didn't do well enough, and another actress, Sally, got the job. Rachel was very upset. But suddenly, Sally fell to the floor. She was unconscious, and Rachel called an ambulance. Doctors said that someone had poisoned Sally. But all the actresses ate the same snacks and drank the same water. Doctors checked the food, and it was fine. Can you guess what happened there? This actress gave Sally a wet wipe to clean her glasses. The wipe was poisoned. The next day, Rachel arrived at a theater to meet Stan. He was a famous director. She noticed 5 weird things about this place right away. What about you? Can you see them too? Something's wrong with the gravity. In particular, with this chandelier that isn't hanging from the ceiling as it should. The wind that the fan creates is blowing to the right, but this actress's hair is flowing to the left. There are human footsteps on the ceiling. The spotlights are red, but the lighting on the stage is blue. And this ballerina's shadow is falling in the wrong direction. Stan introduced Rachel to his favorite actors, Josh, Steven, and Tyler. They were triplets that always joked around. But this time, they agreed that one of them would tell the truth, and the other 2 would lie. They told Rachel about their game. She had to guess their names. The first guy said that he was Josh. The second introduced himself as Steven, and the third guy said, "The second person always tells the truth." Can you figure out who is who? If the third guy is telling the truth, then so is the second. But only one brother was supposed to be honest. So the third guy must be lying. This means the second brother is lying too. So then, the first guy must be telling the truth. He is Josh. The second guy is neither Josh nor Steven. He's Tyler. And the third brother is Steven. Stan offered Rachel to play a princess in his new production. Rachel went to the dressing room to apply makeup. Suddenly, she heard a scream. Rachel ran out of the room and saw the main star of the play on the stage covered in paint. Rachel questioned the suspects. Ron, an assistant, claimed that he'd been eating his sandwich on the balcony when it happened. Lily, a stylist, was on the phone with her husband. And Stacy, a cleaner, said she'd been cleaning the bathroom at that moment. Who's guilty? Ron. He's holding a sandwich, and it's still unwrapped. Now that Rachel got a job, she needed a place to stay in Hollywood. She started looking for an apartment and went to 3 agencies. Each agency showed her one apartment. Rachel liked them all, but when she examined the apartments, she realized that there were scammers among the realtors. Rachel looked at the documents attentively. Which apartment should she choose? Rachel chose the third option. The first apartment is on the 6th floor. But that's impossible because the building only has 5 floors. And according to the description of the second apartment, its construction will be finished in 2025. This is 2022, by the way. But Rachel needs an apartment immediately. Rachel rented the third apartment and moved in right away. But something was wrong with the bathroom there. Can you see it? How is she supposed to flush? Can you see anything weird here? There's no shower drain. Rachel heard the doorbell ring. Her neighbors, Peter and Victor, brought her 2 cakes, but only one of them was edible. Can you tell which one? Victor's cake is sprinkled with almond flakes, while Peter's cake is decorated with human nails. The next day, Zoe texted Rachel to check how she was doing. Rachel sent her this selfie and said, "Alone at home, learning my lines." Zoe sent Rachel this reply, "What a liar you are." Why? If Rachel's alone, who's that guy? Zoe took Rachel to a party and introduced her to Nick, an eccentric billionaire who was financing one of Zoe's movie projects. They had a brief conversation, and then Rachel lost him in the crowd. In a while, Rachel noticed 3 guys facing away from her. Each of them looked exactly like Nick. Can you tell who the real Nick is? This guy has a tattoo on his hand, while Nick didn't have it. And this guy's suit is fake. They wrote the brand name with a mistake. Nick offered for Rachel to sing karaoke. The girls sang a song, and Nick liked it so much that he offered her a suitcase full of gold. But he wouldn't reward just anyone. Only smart people deserved his money. To get the gold, Rachel had to crack a riddle. Nick showed her 4 rare coins. He said there was something wrong with 3 of them. Can you figure out which coin is real? People who lived at that time didn't call their era BCE. This coin is from the future. Take a look at the date. There weren't cars in 1365. So here's the only real coin. Rachel used an app to call a taxi to take her precious suitcase home. She saw 3 identical cars in the parking lot. Each of the 3 drivers claimed that Rachel had ordered their car. Which driver should Rachel choose? The third one. Take a look at the first taxi. There's a creepy guy hiding in the back seat, and the second car is missing a wheel. Zoe was having a party at her villa. She noticed that her son, Harry, was eating in his room with some lady. But Zoe didn't know who she was. The woman got very curious. So, after they left, she sneaked into her son's room to find some hints. There were 3 girls at her party: Lily, Jennifer, and Diana. Zoe immediately guessed who was with her son. What about you? Harry is dating Jennifer. Look at the dishes on the table. There's a lipstick stain on the fork. Jennifer is the only girl wearing red lipstick. In the morning, Rachel went for a run in the park. On her way there, she met this woman. And a minute later, she saw another woman, absolutely the same. Rachel thought it was extremely bizarre. But, in reality, there were 5 differences between these 2 ladies. Can you see them? Here they are. Rachel continued her run and saw these 2 guys on a boat in the river. And a couple of minutes later, she noticed these fishermen. Can you spot any differences? There are 5 differences between these 2 pictures. Have you found them all? Rachel stopped because she needed to tie her shoelaces. Suddenly, she saw these 2 women with backpacks. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Right, here they are. Rachel arrived at her apartment building and found her neighbor, Peter, unconscious at the bottom of the stairs. The scene in front of her eyes was so awful that Rachel fainted, and the concierge carried her home. In the evening, after her nap, Rachel left her apartment. And guess what? In the lobby, she came across Peter again. But this time, he was energetic and happy. He was also drinking some juice. How did he survive? Look, he's a vampire! In the morning, Zoe called Rachel and asked her to come to the agency immediately. When Rachel saw the office, she was shocked. It was a mess. Someone had stained the walls with paint, and broken furniture and torn documents were everywhere. Zoe questioned 3 suspects. Dan, an assistant, said that he'd been partying all night. Many people could confirm that. Jessica, a lawyer, said, "Who do you think I am? I love my job. Otherwise, I would have already quit." And Sarah, a copywriter, said that she'd been the last one to leave the office. And she had locked the door, that's for sure. Who's lying? Jessica. All the mugs are broken, except for hers. World's best lawyer. The woman wanted to get rid of some documents, so she faked a robbery.
Fred was a young scientist looking for a dream job. His favorite professor, Mr. Ford, always worked in his lab alone. But one day, he made an exception and invited Fred to assist him in a secret research project. When Fred arrived at the lab, he found Mr. Ford unconscious on the floor. His colleagues said that halfway through his latest experiment, the lights went out. James, Dylan, and Ashley were nearby. James said he was Mr. Ford's lab assistant. When the lights went out, it was too dark to see what was happening. Dylan said he'd been looking through some documents in his office nearby. And Ashley said she'd been cleaning the lab. Who's lying? James, Mr. Ford always worked alone. Fred was his first and only assistant. When Mr. Ford got better, he offered Fred a job in a big company making robotic dogs. But first, Fred had to do one logical task. There are 3 drawers with pills in Mr. Ford's lab. One of them contains only blue pills, another only red pills, and the 3rd drawer has both blue and red pills. All the boxes are labeled incorrectly. Fred can only take 1 pill from one of the drawers to find out the color of the pills in each drawer. How can he do that? To label the drawers correctly, Fred should take a pill from the drawer that supposedly contains both blue and red pills. Since we know that all labels are incorrect, this drawer must contain either only red pills or only blue pills. If Fred finds a red pill, he should label that drawer as red. Then change the name on the red drawer to blue, and label the remaining drawer as red and blue. Fred texted his girlfriend Sarah to tell her the good news about his new job. He asked her out for dinner, but she answered, "Hey, I woke up with the flu. I don't want to infect you. I'd rather stay at home and rest." Fred video called her and realized she was lying as soon as she answered the call. How did the guy understand it? Look at her bed. It seems that she's getting ready to go out tonight. Also, why would she wear high heels if she wanted to stay at home? Fred was very upset and decided to follow Sarah. He saw her eating dinner with another man in a fancy restaurant. Fred approached their table and exclaimed, "Sarah, who's this man?" Sarah said he was her father. Fred took a look at the man and believed her. Why? They have the same rare eye color and similar moles under their right eyes. On the first day of work, Fred came to his office. It was full of guard robotic dogs. They were taught to react to every movement. Suddenly, the dogs went out of control. They tore the lab down. Luckily, Fred managed to hide. He needed to escape as soon as possible. Fred noticed 3 objects: a bat, a water gun, and a small ball. Which object should he use to escape? He could choose the bat to fight the dogs, but there are too many of them. He could pick the water gun, but it's small and pretty much useless. But this small ball is the right choice. It'll distract the dogs, and Fred will be able to escape. After that unfortunate incident with the robotic dogs, Fred went to another job interview. He decided to become a hotel manager. The hotel owner asked Fred to crack a riddle. He wanted to check his logical skills. What's black when you get it, red when you use it, and white when you're through with it? Fred nailed the riddle and got the job. What did he answer? Charcoal. Fred started his work. A new guest arrived. This guest was very unusual because it was a giraffe. Can you help Fred find the best room for this animal? For the giraffe, the best option is the room with the larger door. Another hotel guest, Shelley, called Fred from her room. She was crying. Someone had stolen her expensive dress. She needed it for a birthday party. Shelley was sure it was one of the hotel employees. Who else could get it without damaging the lock? What do you think? Who stole the dress? There's a silver bead by the bed. The criminal didn't notice they had dropped it during the heist. And this maid has a bracelet with the same beads. Fred went to check the laundry room. He found his colleague Ashley unconscious on the floor. The police examined the crime scene and interviewed people who had been to the laundry room the night before. Alice said, "I came at 7:30 p.m. There were no other people in the laundry. When I was about to leave, another woman came in." Helen said, "I came there at 9:15 p.m. There was nothing special about that day. I just washed my clothes and left." And Sally said, "I'm blind. I don't know if there was anybody in that room when I was inside." Who's the criminal? Helen. Trying to protect herself, Ashley pulled an earring out of her ear. Next day, Fred faced another crime at work. Someone had stolen some food supplies from the warehouse at night. The stockman called Fred first thing in the morning. "Look at these 2 pictures of the warehouse. Can you spot which food had been stolen?" Right, and some more. Fred questioned 3 employees who had worked the night shift. Alice said, "I was preparing a monthly report in my office. I never go to the warehouse anyway." Dan said, "I was at the register all night. There were lots of customers. I wouldn't have had time to go to the warehouse." And Jenny said, "I was flipping burgers. I didn't leave the kitchen." Who stole the food? Look at the footprints in the warehouse. One set belongs to the stockman, and the other belongs to the thief. The accountant and the cook are females. They wouldn't leave such footprints. It means Dan is lying. He did go to the warehouse. A delivery guy bought 2 paintings to decorate hotel rooms. Fred refused to pay for these pictures and returned them, all because the paintings were supposed to be identical. Can you see 3 differences between them? Here they are. Suddenly, one of the hotel guests ran down from the second floor screaming. She saw a ghost in her room. Fred hurried to the room. Can you help him find the ghost? It's this guy. He's too transparent to be human. 2 brothers, Stan and Chuck, met for a quiet birthday party in the hotel restaurant. The cook asked how many candles she should put on the cake. The birthday guy, Chuck, answered, "When Stan was 6 years old, I was half his age. If Stan is 40 now, how old am I? How many candles should the cook put on the cake?" That's right, 37. Fred had an interesting conversation with one of the guests, Mr. Wilson. It turns out that the man once worked as a NASA scientist. He promised Fred he'd help him join a space program. But first, Fred had to crack one tricky riddle. If there are 7 bears in a room, and each of them hugs the rest of the bears once, and only once, how many bear hugs would we get? Fred said 21 hugs, and it was the correct answer. Mr. Wilson was satisfied and gave Fred a folder with the documents needed for his dream job. Fred left the folder on the table in his office. When he came back, he noticed it was empty. Fred questioned 3 employees. All of them entered his office while he was away. Kelly said, "I took your stapler this morning. Mine was broken. Then I brought it back. I put it on the table, but I didn't touch anything else." The delivery guy who had brought something for Fred said, "I left the box in your office. That's what I was told to do." And Alice said, "I was cleaning your office and your table too, but I didn't take any documents." Fred had a fingerprint kit with him, just in case. He pulled the fingerprints from the table. He also took the fingerprints of the 3 suspects. Can you guess who stole the documents? Kelly. She said that she had only touched the stapler, but her fingerprints are on the folder as well. On the table, there are also Alice's fingerprints, but it's okay because she was cleaning it. Soon, Fred became a member of a space crew. They were originally scheduled to meet with the mothership on the surface of the moon, but due to some mechanical issues, his ship was forced to land 200 miles away from the meeting point. During landing, most of the equipment aboard was damaged. Since the team's survival depends on reaching the mothership, they should only take the most crucial items with them. Below, there are 10 items that are still intact. Fred's task is to rank them according to their importance for reaching the meeting point. Can you help him? These oxygen tanks are the most important element. The crew needs them to survive. The tanks with water should be the second priority. The stellar map is in the 3rd place. Without it, the ship will get lost. The 4th place goes to the food concentrate. The solar-powered FM receiver transmitter should be the 5th. The crew members need them to communicate with the mothership. The nylon rope gets the 6th place. It's useful in scaling cliffs and tying unconscious crew members together. The 7th most important item is the first aid kit. Number 8 is the parachute silk. The ship needs some protection from sunlight. The self-inflating life raft is the 9th, and the signal flares are the last on this list. They can be used to send a distress signal when the mothership is in sight.